So a frequently asked question on the channel is, what are my settings in Modern Warfare? What are my settings in Warzone? Whatever. And I made a video like this back in season 3, but I think every season I'm just gonna make a video at the top of the season showing you guys my settings, just in case either anything changes or I get new people on the channel that just want to know and they don't go back to that video and find out. So we are here in season 4 and I'll be showcasing what is the best settings for me. Obviously you can change anything you want because my settings aren't going to be the best ones for you, so you can take some inspiration from this video or whatever you want to call it. And yeah, so I'm gonna get straight into my season 4 settings. Make sure you guys drop a like on today's video, subscribe to the channel if you guys are brand new, and let's get right into it. Alright, so the first question that I get a lot is, what are my color settings? Now, I don't do anything special to my color settings. The reason my game looks the way it is and it's different from yours probably is because I just turn up the saturation on my recording device. In my case, I use the Elgato, but if you don't have a recording device, you can just turn up the saturation on your TV specifically when you play this game, or you can turn up the saturation on your monitor, whatever you're using. I struggled with that at the beginning of this game because we went from Black Ops 4, a Treyarch game that has good colors, to this game where it's kind of dull, kind of grayish, boring and stuff like that. So just amp up the saturation, and that's basically what I did. But moving on to the actual settings, I just had to address that right away because that is probably like one of the top comments that I get. Starting off with the controller settings, since I do play on PlayStation 4, for the button layout I use default flipped. I've always used that because I prefer shooting or aiming and shooting with L1 and R1. The reason I do this is because L1 and R1 are buttons, so the time that you push them is going to be an immediate reaction or immediate action, but the triggers L2 and R2, you have to push them down for the action to completely go through. So either if you have trigger stops from like a SCUF controller, then this doesn't matter, but if you have a regular PS4 controller like me, I would suggest that you guys get used to L1 and R1. And I was already kind of used to it because I think I even used L1 and R1 back on PS3, so it didn't really like phase me too much when I switched over to default flipped. And then for the stick layout preset, we got default invert vertical look disabled. The dead zone I messed around with a little bit and I decided to keep it on 0.05. If you have too high of a dead zone or too low of a dead zone, I noticed that when you have too high of a dead zone, it'll make your aim kind of like drift off. So if it's like too sensitive, you want to definitely fix that because it'll put you off target without you even touching your analog stick. So definitely want to make sure that's all set. Go into a private match, line yourself up at a corner and just see how your controller reacts to certain movements or even no movements at all with this dead zone setting to get the perfect one. 0.05, like I said, is what's perfect for me. And also, you know, sometimes in the game I think my controller is just like messed up or broken, but trust me, it's most likely not your controller. Even if it is, you may have to clean the analog stick a little bit, but even if it's not that, it's usually just this game. It's just something weird about it that I haven't really noticed on any other games when I'm playing with the same controller or even a different Call of Duty game, for example. So I don't know, the dead zone setting is weird for sure. But then we got horizontal stick sensitivity and vertical stick sensitivity. I keep those the same, 6.6, and I've been using this sensitivity probably since they introduced these dual sensitivity settings in Call of Duty. But moving on down, we got the ADS sensitivity multiplier low zoom. We got it at 1.115, and then for the ADS sensitivity multiplier high zoom, we got it at 1.0. These settings are really important if you're using a scope in your weapon, sniper, all that good stuff. So make sure you guys take care of these, find what's best for you. This is what works best for me. Sensitivity is one big thing that it's just all the way up to preference, but a lot of these other settings are stuff that you can definitely try out and notice a difference in. But aim response curve type, I'm using standard right now, but I have tried out linear and dynamic. You just have to try them out for yourself. Sometimes I can tell the difference, sometimes I can't, but I just stick with standard just because that's what I'm used to in Call of Duty. Controller vibration, I always have that as disabled just because I feel like vibration messes up my aim personally, because you don't want your controller shaking all around while you're in a gunfight. But that's just for me. Some people like it, I don't, and you know, it's just another preference thing, I guess. But I feel like it just helps my accuracy more. My controller isn't shaking when I'm shooting my gun or getting shot at. Then for weapons, aim assist. Now there's something new about aim assist. I keep it on standard, but I've seen a video from J God and Shauna, two fellow KARNAGE members, and they tested out the focusing aim assist. And pretty much ever since they added dead zone, I'm pretty sure, with that combined with focusing, it's almost like a snappy sort of aim. You guys can go check out their video. I'll link both of them in the comment section, or not the comment section, but the description of this video, just so you guys can see. J-God was on PC and Ashana was on PS4, so if you want to see the difference in that, in controller aim at least, you guys can check that out. But I tried it out and it just, I don't know, it just didn't feel right to me for some reason, so I just kept it on standard. But I did try it out, you know, ever since I found out about it. I just couldn't really get the hang of it, but that's something that you can, you know, test out for yourself and see what you like. But I just always stick with standard in terms of, you know, aim response, curve type, and then aim assist. Moving on down, we got weapon mount activation. We got ADS plus melee for that. Weapon mount movement exit, we got that as enabled. Aim down sight behavior, we got that on hold. Equipment behavior, we got that on hold as well. Use/reload behavior, I have that on tap to reload. If you play Warzone, it's good to maybe try out contextual tap, but I go between Warzone and multiplayer a lot, so I just keep it on tap to reload just so I don't confuse myself. But if you play Warzone a lot, I would definitely try out that contextual tap setting. Depleted ammo weapon switch, I got that as enabled. Automatic sprint, we got that disabled as well, another weird option. Vehicle camera recenter, we got that enabled. And then parachute auto deploy, we got that enabled. You want to make sure you don't you know, hit the ground when you're trying to come down from the gulag or come down just in general, so keep that enabled. And those are all of my controller settings. But moving on over to the general settings for this video, the brightness I use is 68. Some people say it's too high, some people say it's whatever, but I like it, you know, just so those dark corners are easier to see. Saturation is low. I already upped the saturation with my recording device, so I had to up the brightness as well because it's a dark game on top of it being desaturated. Film grain, I put that all the way down. There's no reason at all to have film grain on in this game. Tooltips, doesn't really matter what you have that on. Subtitles, language selection, colorblind type. Like I said, people always ask me what's my colorblind type. It has nothing to do with how my game looks. I have it on disabled. World motion blur, I have that disabled. No reason at all to have this on. Same with the weapon motion blur. Take that off immediately. You're just trying to make yourself you know, have a harder time seeing what's going on. What's important right here, minimap shape. I heard they actually zoomed out the minimap recently with the season 4 update, at least in Warzone. I haven't really played multiplayer yet, but I've seen in Warzone they definitely zoomed out the minimap. So to get the best view of what's going on, I recommend using the square minimap. The circle one just shows you less, in my opinion. You guys can literally see the difference between the circle and the square and how much you're seeing on both of those screenshots they're showing right there. But definitely rock with the square minimap rotation. I have that as enabled. Compass, cardinal direction text, I have that on letters, but I don't really think I never really messed with this, so I just kept it on letters. It doesn't really affect your call outs either way. People are going to see what you're talking about or understand what you're talking about. Text chat enabled, doesn't really matter about this stuff. Dismember and gore effects, blah blah blah, all that good stuff. Just a whole bunch of regular settings that you would normally get in general. But audio, I have it on boost high. If you're using a headset, I definitely recommend this setting. I use the Astro A40 headsets, and I can literally hear everybody stomping around. I mean, sometimes the audio in this game is messed up, but for the most part, I can kind of tell when somebody's stomping towards me, at least in multiplayer. Warzone can be kind of difficult to hear for some reason. Sometimes the audio good, sometimes it's not. It just depends. But got master volume on 100, music volume doesn't really matter, dialogue volume, all that good stuff. Hit markers, I don't know, it just do whatever you want to do right here, but these are my settings if you want to copy them exactly. And then account, I play with crossplay enabled, crossplay communication enabled. I really don't care, to be honest with you, but if you're playing Warzone or even multiplayer, there's been a lot of hackers, so if you want to avoid that, I would put it on disabled. The only reason I don't have it disabled is because, one, I play with people who are on PC and Xbox. I haven't ran into any hackers yet, but trust me, when I do, there's gonna be a video on it. But yeah, that's pretty much all my settings, I guess. You could put streamer mode on if you're like a YouTuber or streamer and you don't want people like going directly for you, I guess, but I don't really care about that to be 1000 at this point in time. At least I'm not the biggest content creator in the world. But those are all my settings for season 4 of Modern Warfare. I don't know why I love this background so much. That's so random from the video, but I like the new background that they have for I guess the main menu screen, whatever you want to call it. But let me know what you guys think about these settings in the comment section down below. Drop a like on today's video. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are brand new. More season 4 content on the way. We already dropped 3 videos on season 4 already, so keep at it on the channel, keep showing your support, drop a like, all that good stuff. Follow me on Twitch and Instagram at the LoneWolfXP. I stream every day on Twitch. And yeah, that's gonna wrap it off for me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Peace.